Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome to the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. And everyone, hey, welcome into the program. So today on the show, we have an entire hour of computer and technology news. And this is where we dedicate just the entire show to the latest articles and things like that. We haven't over the past, week or so been able to do this. So some days we like to, kind of relax, unwind, and catch up on what is important. And we have a lot of very big topics. I don't know how much we're going to get through, but hey, we're going to try our darndest. So to everyone in the chat room and everyone out there listening live on the radio and out there on the Iron Network, and of course anyone else listening on the podcast, hey, welcome into Computer America. Thank you so much for joining us. And hey, we have a great show planned for you. So before we get started, a couple of things, including computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything from, today's show notes, link to the article. After the show, anything that we mention on today's show can be found at our website. Also, be sure to check out the articles. We have a couple articles going up here in the next day or two, and really want to check those out. We'll let you know when those are published. And then on top of that, of course, be sure to check out just check out our website. So with that being said, I want to say welcome into the program once again, and why don't we go ahead and just get started with computer and technology news. So here we go. Okay. Let's see. Let's go ahead and actually let's play something to be our first. Let's see. Be our first song, it's gonna be a song, but I think. Although, here we go. I gotcha. All right, there we go. That should work. So now, hopefully, this works. And let's see. So wait, not that. We need P-P-Y-H-A-P-P-Y, happy birthday. Okay, that works. So yeah, happy birthday. And, I try to find real quick. I got to find a song just to say happy birthday. Obviously previously on the show, we had like the chipmunk thing, but that's kind of shrill. But I say happy birthday because our first story is a birthday, and none other than one of the most important birthdays that we've ever had, and that is the birth of the World Wide Web. Obviously, we may be a little biased here on Computer America, on a technology show, but it is a huge feat nonetheless. So this is an article from Andrew Tarantola, but this is obviously this affects us all, where the World Wide Web turns 30. That's right. Yeah, not bad. 30 years old. And we got the free and open internet that we deserve. Now, so like I said, from Engadget, this isn't the internet that Tim Berners-Lee envisioned when he laid the groundwork for the World Wide Web back 30 years ago. Rather, the free and open online utopia he envisioned that the web has evolved into an engine of inequality and division. And he wrote this back in 2018. And obviously, Sir Tim Berners-Lee, it's one of those things where like you can design, you can come up with the infrastructure and the concept behind the internet, but then what the internet really does is very independent of the creator. Think Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster. You can create something, but what happens after that, not really a lot you can say about it. But hey, this is something that he can, of course, speak to, what he envisioned when we first started. So, as he said, the web has evolved into an engine of inequity and division, not inequality, inequity, swayed by powerful forces who use it for their own agendas. And he says he's going to fix it, even if he has to break the entire system to do so. We'll certainly see about that. Now, Berners-Lee began developing the web while working at the European Organization for Nuclear Research, or CERN, and in 1989 as a means of sharing data among the organization's myriad PC brands and operating systems. It was designed to be universal, and he envisioned the internet serving as a means of breaking down national and cultural barriers, at least once he's gotten all the computers talking to one another. Obviously, you could think of things like the ARPANET and other predecessors to the internet, but the idea that these computers would share information with one another, it took something like this to actually make it happen. Now, he says, I've always believed the web is for everyone. The changes we've managed to bring have created a better and more connected world. Certainly is something. So with that being said, despite the benefits of the World Wide Web has wrought over the past 3 decades, it hasn't shaken out quite the way that Berners-Lee was expecting. He's certainly not comfortable with the growing trend of market consolidation that we're seeing. What was once a rich selection of blogs and websites have been compressed under the powerful weight of a few dominant platforms. This concentration of power creates a new set of gatekeepers, allowing a handful of platforms to control which ideas and opinions are seen and shared. And I think what he's getting at there are a few key players really affect the internet at large. And you could look at everything from the fact that, services like Amazon Web Services or Microsoft, their Azure cloud, a lot of these other hosting sites are really only handled by a few companies that dictate, what's kind of acceptable, what is okay to have on your servers. And then on top of that, it's a very U.S. dominant kind of focused internet that we live in. Obviously, there's the Chinese-focused internet that we really don't have a hand in, and then there's like the U.S. one that still has a few nodes, kind of here and there in Europe and South America and Africa, certain places in Africa. Overall, though, the internet is controlled by a few large companies and the United States, and that's a problem. Obviously, from its inception, he envisioned, again, working at CERN, that the internet would be independent of governments. It would be independent of oversights of, a lot of these things. And really, it would just be the freedom to connect and share information as they please. But that has not been how it works. Or that's not really how it turned out to be. And there's a whole argument to be had if the internet should have gatekeepers, but hey, that's not the way that the gatekeepers came about. That's more of a here's kind of how it shook out rather than here's how we planned it to be. Now, the article continues, and where's that gotten us? We were promised vibrant digital town squares where netizens would be free to propose and debate new ideas. And what we got were the troll armies of Twitter. What we're promised instant access to the whole of humanity's knowledge, and what we got was fake news in our Facebook feeds. We were promised more adorable cat videos than any one person in a single lifetime could see. And well, hey, as the article points out, we got that. So here we go. When the likes of Google, Amazon, and Facebook entrenched their market positions by poaching top talent, acquiring competing startups, and leveraging user data, Berners-Lee argues that they're doing so at the expense of future innovation. Additionally, the lack of viable competing options allows bad actors to weaponize these platforms for their own nefarious ends. And of course, they are everything from fake social media posts, stoking socioeconomic tensions, to unchecked conspiracy theories. And I guess what he's getting at there, and this is really a problem that I don't think he has a solution for. I don't think anyone really has a solution for. Because if the internet were to be as he kind of designed, every person would be able to go to any website, post their ideas, conflict with any ideas, or propose new ideas, and that would be that. But when you are now looking at an internet that has billions of users, and with billions more coming online, thanks to smartphones and in developing countries, I think the internet is supposed to grow by like another 2 to 3 billion internet users in the next 20, 30 years. A lot of people are going to be online. And the problem is that not every single person can have their voice heard or even can discern themselves from the crowd. And then on top of that, not everyone can have that, that kind of open town square forum that they said, because, hey, it's, you can't have 4 billion town squares and expect yourself to have any kind of influence. And as soon as you do get a bit of that influence, as soon as people do start to follow you and talk about you and share your ideas, hey, it's a snowball effect. You're going to grow and grow and grow and grow. And that growth is kind of what led to the fake news. That's what led to the fake social media posts. It's what led to the unchecked conspiracy theories. That if people go and they try to find things, they enter these spheres of influence that are very, very hard to break out of. And it's just, to me, it just seems like a natural progression of the internet, of giving everyone a voice. And when billions of people have a voice, only a few are going to stand out from the crowd. And in this case, that's Google, that's Amazon, that's Facebook, or that's people who game the system for their own benefit. Now, they have another quote here saying that we demonstrated that the web had failed instead of served humanity as it was supposed to have done, and failed in many places, he continues. Berners-Lee has since recovered from his shock. In 2018, in the founder's address to the World Wide Web Foundation, he reiterated his commitment to making sure the web is free, open, and creative space for everyone, which means focusing on a trio of challenges. First, getting the other half of the world's population online, which I said should happen here in the next couple decades. Increasing regulation of internet gatekeepers. So that would be the people who control the content, that control the services, the people who control the information. Make sure that they have proper oversight, because as soon as you control the flow of information and the flow of goods and services, then you have a lot of power. And yeah, that needs oversight. And then the last one, ensuring that everybody has an equitable voice in the internet's evolution moving forward. Which is fair, but and when they say everybody has an equitable voice, I think really what he's talking about there is the fact that we need to move away from China influencing the internet almost entirely for their 1.3 billion citizens, and the Chinese government having complete control over what is seen, said, and done on the internet. Or for everyone else who's not in China, maybe the US has too much say over what happens on the internet, or maybe the EU has too much say over what happens on the internet. No one party should be able to have all that control, and instead it should be a shared goal that we keep the internet as it was envisioned by Tim Berners-Lee, which is, again, kind of that open forum. So that's where we're at. As part of those efforts, Berners-Lee has called for an increased access to public Wi-Fi and community networks for the poor, and a legal or regulatory framework that accounts for social objectives to better manage expansive internet corporations. And it sounds like there he's talking about the access to internet and the fact that you have only a few dominant internet service providers. And of course, I'm speaking here to the U.S., but you're looking at your AT&Ts, your Comcast, your Verizons, your whoever your cable provider is. There's been more consolidation there than ever before. If anyone remembers, kind of pre-internet, when it came to Bell and the phone companies and the telecommunication industry that was broken up in the 80s. Yeah, we're there, and then we're past that point. So yeah, there you go. And yes, just like Craig said in the chat room, Spectrum, there's only a few really dominant players when it comes to internet service providers. So there you go. Now, here we go. Tim Berners-Lee is not stopping at impassioned pleas. In September of last year, Berners-Lee announced that he would be taking a sabbatical from MIT to launch a new online platform dubbed Solid, which could drastically reorient the current power structure of the internet and return control, there we go, hard to say, of user data to the users themselves. And very important. So, and one thing that I really want to drive home to a lot of listeners out there is the fact that the internet, as it was started 30 years ago, and we had the wild west of a developing technology, and corporations and individuals, government agencies, they have taken what has become possible over a lifetime of innovation, over 30 years of innovation on the web. And yeah, they're going to take exploits out of it. They're going to take the fact that you can tag packets that you can only connect to through certain nodes. You're going to take the very fundamentals of the internet and you're going to twist them and use them for your own gain. What was possible 30 years ago, you could not imagine what it would become today. So when he says that he wants to completely re-envision how the internet is made, what is possible today is, maybe it's time for the internet to go through a drastic change, and we learn from what we've done in the past, and we start to make proactive changes to the internet. I believe that's really what he's getting at. So here we go. He's saying that this isn't Berners-Lee's first attempt to expand the boundaries of the web. In 2001, he and a pair of other researchers proposed a semantic web, which is an internet architecture that not only would hold every kind of data as opposed to just documents, but was both machine and human readable. The semantic web would act as a sort of Rosetta Stone for machines, enabling AI to view the web in the same way that a person would. Now, here we go. Another quote here saying solid changes, and Solid, again, is the platform that he developed this year, changes the current model where users have to hand over personal data to digital giants in exchange for perceived value. As we've all discovered, this hasn't been in our best interest. Rather than have all of your online data concentrated in the hands of a few massive firms, Solid would effectively decentralize the way data is shared over the internet, saying that it gives every user a choice about where data is stored, which specific people and groups can access select elements, and which apps you use. It allows you, your family, and colleagues to link and share data with anyone. It allows people to look at the same data with different apps at the same time. And really, this is such a change to the way that the current internet works. I'm not sure that is even possible. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying that the entrenched players, like he was saying, are so adamant about making sure that Facebook, Google, Amazon, any of these advertising firms, and later on we have a topic about how television providers are going to be targeting advertisements to you, the person watching television. The way that advertising works and the way that money is made on the internet is by collecting and scraping data. And he's up against a lot of really powerful players to say that the users have control over their data. It's a shakeup. Let's see. So there's that, and we're going to skip ahead a little bit to the last paragraph and wrap this up. But man, Sir Tim Berners-Lee, you have your work cut out for you. Berners-Lee spent the last few months of 2018 touring the country, giving demonstrations and tutorials for developing with Solid. This leads to his next challenge, convincing the world that effectively turning the internet on its head is a good idea. You can be sure that the current power brokers like Amazon, Facebook, and Google won't sit idly by as their market share is threatened. Nevertheless, Berners-Lee continues to persist because, as he said in 2009, the web as I envisioned it, we have not seen yet. So, there you go. Rather long article about the future of the internet and where it currently is at 30. But I do want to say happy birthday to the internet, 30 years old. And this is not the internet's final form. What we know as the internet today is not going to be the internet of 10, 15, 20 years. It's, if nothing else, just by the simple fact that the internet is going to have a couple billion new users who will be consuming content, making comments, having their own values imprinted on what is done, said, and spread on the internet, is going to change it. Hopefully for the better. Hopefully the more people who participate in the internet, the better the internet will be. If the internet is this great with 1.2-3 billion people, then hopefully the internet will be great with 5-6 billion people contributing to it, who will also be inputting their own knowledge, their own information, their own artwork, their own music, movies, what have you. Hopefully this will all be a net positive. But hey, as we're so fond of saying here, we'll have to wait and see. And maybe, just maybe, Tim Berners-Lee will, shake up the internet once again. There you go. So there's that article. And why don't we go ahead and head on to the related story? And I had it right here. This was, let's see, not this one, although that one is pretty related. It has to do with, let's see. I just had it. Sorry, in so many stories, I should have had this, kind of lined up here. Here we go. Now, this one's from Engadget, Christine Fisher. And get ready for targeted ads on your smart TV. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have a smart TV, you're probably in the minority at this point. If you're looking at a television that's over 32 inches and is 4K and, is bought within the last couple of years, a smart television is almost mandatory. And there's a reason for that. It's because you'd think it'd be cheaper to buy a non-smart TV. But thanks to Vizio and a couple other programs, thanks to Sony and what they're working with, you're trading some of the upfront cost, the fact that, maybe you even save $50 on the front end, which, that initial sticker price is really all it takes to drive people to buy things. And you're paying for it by subjecting your data to be harvested. As we've seen from, either knowingly or unknowingly, that's what's happening on smart televisions. What you watch, how often you watch it, what you record, that's all being sent to other people. And now, hey, just like the internet, your television could be sending you targeted ads, which, I'll be honest, I'm not sure I'm even against. This may be a really good thing. So let's talk about this. As I said before, Christine Fisher, Disney, Comcast, NBC Universal, CBS, and others want to sell your data to advertisers, which might be a good thing. So here we go. By now, we're all used to targeted ads on social media. If anyone out there is unfamiliar with targeted ads, here's a little experiment for you. Why don't you go ahead and type in Sherwin-Williams paint or home renovation or new curtains or something along those lines. have your ad blocker turned off and see the kinds of advertisements that you are going to get for the next couple of days. It will involve everything from home decoration, home renovation, home delivery. It will have everything to do with what you searched. Those are targeted ads. They take what you have been looking for, what they perceive what you are interested in, and then they deliver more of that to you, hoping that you buy it. Now, here we go. They're saying, and whether you're comfortable with having your interests shared with advertisers or not, it looks like addressable advertising is coming to your smart TV sooner than later. Several top media companies, including Disney, Comcast, NBC Universal, CBS, and Discovery, announced that they're teaming up with smart TV company Vizia, the one, the only Vizia, to develop a new standard that might make commercials feel eerily personal. Although not that it's not going to say, "Hey Ben, we think you'd really like this yogurt." I don't think it's going to get that personal, but and I'm going to say why this might be a good thing here in just a minute. But really, this might be a good thing. The companies are calling themselves a consortium, and they've dubbed this project, Project OR, OAR, or Open Addressable Ready. Once developed, the new open standard will make it possible for all connected TV companies to sell targeted ads in scheduled and on-demand programs. While this will theoretically make ads more successful and therefore more valuable, it also means viewers' data will be shared with third parties. Which, of course, that raises the usual data privacy concerns. And hey, you may be tired of clicking on the, "Hey, we put cookies on your browser, we share your data for advertising purposes. Due to the new regulation by Europe, you have to click OK so that you can continue to use our services." You may be tired of those, but hey, that's what TVs are soon going to have to deal with. Now, here we go. We can only hope that after learning the lesson the hard way, which is Vizio, which they lost a $2.2 million lawsuit over selling customers' data, even though they didn't know it or without their knowledge or permission. Hey, maybe they've learned how to do this with, a bit more upfrontness. According to Adweek, the consortium plans to have a prototype as early as this spring and a working product that can be used by any TV maker later this year or early next year. In the meantime, we're left wondering if targeted television ads would be able to avoid the pitfalls we've seen on social media. So here are the problems. Actually, here's why this might be a good thing, because I promised that one. This might be a good thing because if you watch television now, television is such an ad fest. Like, you can have a problem with advertising because so much of it is crammed onto televisions that programs are played at like 1.1 or 1.2 speed. That may be why if you watched, something like, let's say, The Big Bang Theory, and you're used to a certain cadence, and you say, wow, that laugh track came faster than you're used to, or that line was delivered, or, even some of mine, watching some shows that I've seen after a while, they cut like certain pauses and cadences out of the show so that they can squeeze more advertising in. Maybe, just maybe, with targeted advertising, they could charge higher rates for advertisers to put ads in front of the right people. And maybe instead of 8, 9, 10 minutes of advertising for every 30 minutes of content, instead, you are looking at maybe five minutes of effective advertising and more time for programming. Less ads because the ads that are shown to you are more directed. Maybe that could be an improvement that we see from a system like this. Another thing is that if you watch anything that could potentially skew to an older demographic, and I'm looking at all of you MASH watchers out there, the commercial breaks for shows like MASH or TV Land or even just cable news, if I get advertised for my COPD one more time, I am going to flip out. Maybe advertisements that are actually useful to me would be more interesting and less annoying than hearing the same 10 prescription drug commercials over and over again. But everyone, the music in the background means that we're gonna go to break. Everyone, we'll be right back. More computer and technology news right after this. Everyone, stay tuned.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour. Thank you for continuing on with us. We are moving at a blazingly fast pace as we are, kind of getting into story number 2 here on Computer America, the entire show dedicated to computer and technology news. And everyone, hey, welcome back into the show. So without further ado, if you're just joining us and you miss any part of today's show, check out the podcast. It's simply Today's Show rebroadcast, so you can hear the whole thing, ads included. And hey, definitely give us a try wherever podcasts are heard. Simply search Computer America, and we should pop right up. And we promise not to take your personal information. Now, with that being said, why don't we go ahead and wrap up the story? We were just talking about how a lot of the biggest names in the content creators, the networks who, because, your favorite shows, your favorite television, your favorite news networks, news organizations, they don't do these things out of the kindness of their heart. They don't do it through some kind of altruistic purpose. And don't get me wrong, some creative directors may say, oh, I just want to tell my story and get it out there. No, they do this to get paid. They do this to push advertising. What is relatable to the largest audience, and the advertising that goes into this plays such a huge role in how these networks operate. So like we said, Vizio, and if it works with Vizio, I'm sure other television manufacturers will jump on board. Once this consortium is up and running, then there you go. Hey, advertising may change as we know it. Maybe you will no longer receive term life insurance programs or advertising. Instead, if you are a young, hip youth such as myself, you will get Razor scooter advertising and Monster energy drinks. Probably. I don't know. But hey, like I said, this isn't potentially a bad thing. If ads are going to be placed in front of you, wouldn't you rather they be less and more specific to you, as opposed to more and kind of a shotgun spread approach that we have been doing in the past. This is simply bringing television advertising up to the internet's advertising standards. Don't get me wrong, advertising is a form of, it'd be kind of creepy to say, thought control, but yeah, you can hate advertising, but at the same time, this is a natural evolution of advertising. So with that being said, we do have a related story, and yeah, this has to do with, and this coming to us from The Verge, and I say related because a new privacy bill, seems like we're talking all things data and data protections and things like that. New privacy bill would give parents an eraser button and ban ads targeting children. See, where content creators and people who want to serve ads are trying to say, here's who's watching our program, here's who we can advertise to, and here's how we advertise to them. Lawmakers are still struggling with the ways to manage, well, how do we know that the people watching behind the screen aren't children? And how do we know the children aren't being advertised directly to and influenced upon in negative ways? This is all the same conversation, and no one has a good answer for it, but the money involved points in certain directions, and hey, it's kind of where we're going. But I digress. We'll cover this one pretty quickly. Don't want to get too bogged down in it, but did want to make you aware that 2 senators have proposed a major update to one of the only federal privacy laws in the United States. If approved, the changes to the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA, will codify a set of parental controls and ban targeted advertising to young minors. This is a co-sponsored bill. Senators Ed Markey and Josh Hawley plan to introduce the bipartisan measure that would amend COPPA in order to extend privacy protections to children up to age 15. Obviously, this is something different. I think up until this point, it's been 13, and I think even like for that reason, services like Twitter and Facebook actually request you not sign up for their services, or if you do, get parental permission if you're under 13 to be on Facebook. Now, however, if approved, platforms would only be able to collect the data of children aged 13 to 15 with their own personal consent and not that of their parents. Let's see. So one significant update would be the increased controls the legislation would give parents over the children's personal data on these platforms. If approved, it would create what the senators called an eraser button that would remove all the child's data from the related service. If a parent or child decides to delete all their data, no platform would be able to discontinue service to that user. There you go. This is not unlike what we saw happen over in Europe. The right to be forgotten. The idea that information should not be forever archived and forever searchable on the internet and should not plague someone past a reasonable amount of time. Especially if you post stupid comments and stupid videos of, let's say, yourself at 12 years old and you're just talking horrible, nasty, vitriolic things as teenagers on the internet are wont to do. That should not follow you into your professional career. That should not follow you for the rest of your life. Let's put it this way. I don't think a politician could be elected from the internet generation. It's getting that bad. So there you go. Like I said, we're not going to get too far into this. We'll see how this bill fares and how if any of this legislation is going to get through. But it's there's conversation happening on both sides. Those who are making money from the internet and those who are trying to protect the citizens of the internet. It's going to be a constant struggle. So, with that being said, why don't we go ahead and switch topics here? I think we spent enough time talking about all that kind of thing. How about we talk about some product and service news? And, oh, actually, before we do that, story number 4. Japan, you may have heard of them. They're an island off the coast of, Eurasia. Well, they do some pretty interesting things. And when they're not making robots that are going to be your next concierge, or when they're not doing weird things over there, hey, instead, they're trying to recreate the mammoth. And we have an update. We have a little bit of progress in that front. I'm not going to try to name the staff writer for this, but the Nikkei Asian Review reports a Japan team edges closer to bringing mammoths back to life. You know the ones, the ones with the hair, the one with the great stylish hairdo, the woolly mammoth. Yeah, we could be closer to getting that actually back up and walking. Not the one particularly in the photo. That one is long preserved and dead. That particular one is never going to walk again. But it may lead to an actual walking, probably not talking, woolly mammoth. Saying that the study confirms activity in the nuclei from a 28,000-year-old beast. So this coming out of Tokyo, woolly mammoths could roam the earth again someday, thanks to the research reported Monday, where cell nuclei from one of the long extinct animals showed biological activity when transplanted into mouse cells. Bone marrow and muscle tissue were extracted from the remains of a mammoth named Yuka that had been frozen in Siberian permafrost for 28,000 years. In the study published online in the journal Scientific Reports, genomic DNA was compared against that of elephants, and the researchers confirmed that Yuka's DNA overlapped with the DNA and proteins specific to mammoths. There you go. The team injected the cell nuclei from the muscle tissue into a mouse egg cells and observed the forming of structures that appeared just before cell division starts. The researchers also found possible signs of repaired to damaged mammoth DNA. So I guess if you take some of the nuclei, some of the DNA from a mammoth, put it in a viable cell, get the DNA in an environment where it can, kind of do its own DNA thing again, then we're seeing it reactivate. And that's important. And they say, they have a quote here from the article from Kei Miyamoto, saying that this marks a significant step forward to bringing back mammoths from the dead, and we want to move our study forward to the stage of cell division. We still have a long way to go before the Ice Age species can return. The team from Kindai University in Greater Osaka is collaborating with a Russian institution on the work in cloning technology called somatic cell nuclear transfer. So I wish I could report that woolly mammoths are just months or years away from walking again. But we're not at that point. We have shown, and again, the whole point of this is that when you take DNA from the preserved remains of the woolly mammoth, put it back in a scenario where the cells can do cell things, hey, they start to do cell things again. That's an important step. That's good. Hey, one step closer to woolly mammoths. Pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. I hope the best for our woolly brethren. Now, I don't know. Let's go ahead and talk about so many great articles. Let's talk about this one. So this is from ABC, I'm sorry, NBC. There we go. This is from NBC. Facial recognition's dirty little secret. Millions of online photos scraped without consent. And this is this might be related to our conversation for the first half of the show, but it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about this a bit anyways. And I really don't have any, kind of need to go through the entire article by itself, but I wanted to really call attention to the data that they're talking about when they say protecting data. Data should be, who should own the data, things like that. Facial Facial recognition's dirty little secret. Millions of online photos scraped without consent. People's faces are being used without their permission in order to power technology that could eventually be used to surveil them. And that's something legal experts said. Now, when they say that, where are they getting these photos from? They're getting them from social media. They're getting them from stock photos on the internet. They're getting them from let's say there's like a concert and there's, hundreds of photos, thousands of photos of hundreds of faces in the background. Those photos are being used in facial recognition. Any photo with a face in it can be scraped and then used to train an artificial intelligence to recognize faces. And yeah, it's not really up to you. It's not up to anyone. And the article points out a couple of good examples where Facebook, of course, will do this, or let's say IBM was one of the ones that they kind of mentioned, where last year IBM was very open about this. They took 1 million different faces from photographers and photography and online profile pictures. And IBM was using that to train their artificial intelligence. The data is out there. Think of IBM, I think it was Watson, was used to, where they were fed 1 million different medical records from a particular hospital in New York City. Without consent, those medical records were handed over so that the AI could be trained on how to detect certain forms of cancer and retina deterioration and other serious illnesses. The data was supposedly stripped of personally identifiable information, but the data was still compromised. And whether or not that's a problem, I really don't know. But I find it interesting that NBC News would publish an article like this and really try to call attention to people's fears that, hey, you may be fed into a machine and your data may be harvested. It's publicly available out there. Whenever you upload a new picture on social media, it's not just being saved in that one spot and, it can be taken down as soon as you decide you don't want it up there anymore. No, it's archived. It's archived on the internet. It's archived on the servers. It's collected, it's cataloged, and it's then sold to companies who are trying to train AI. It's sold to companies who, want information about particular people. And these photos, it's not just about obviously profile photos like I was just alluding to. It's also, as the article points out here, New York City Police Department were allowed to search closed circuit television feeds for people with particular skin tones or hair color following the 9/11 attacks. Yeah, 17, 18 years ago, that technology was certainly possible. Now, I really don't feel the need to go, any further into this because it really is, kind of focused on some of the what should be the obvious aspects of data collection. Just know that it's happening. It's happening out there, and anything you put online, and a lot of things that you don't even know are online, are being cataloged and tracked. Don't want to get too tinfoil hat with it, but here you go. We'll include a link to that article in the show notes at computeramerica.com. Definitely check that out. How about something fun? How about something to lighten the mood a little bit? And this has to do with NBC. NBC is popping up a lot this show. NBC and Twitter will be hosting the Drone Racing League. That's right. A new season will air on NBC and Twitter starting August 11th. And if you've never seen drone racing, it's a very exciting sport. It's something that you should really, kind of key yourself into. And I wish I had some video footage to kind of show, but imagine flying through the air in first person point of view. Like imagine if you were Superman and you were flying around and you had to fly through warehouses, you had to fly through obstacles. The chance for crashing and burning are very high, but very skilled pilots are there to take you from one end of the track to the next. It's think of it kind of like Formula One, but yeah, from a first-person point of view, and the cars can actually fly. This has the potential to be a very exciting sport to watch. Now, they said that the fledgling drone racing league is still not a household name, but continues to draw major broadcasters and is now set to make its debut on social media. For its upcoming World Championship season, the Drone Racing League is making the switch from ESPN to the home of NASCAR, NBC, and NBC Sports. For the first time, viewers will also be able to tune in on Twitter via the official Drone Race League account, and the new season commences August 11th. So, for the uninitiated, the race consists of minute-long heats that see pilots with monikers that wouldn't look out of place in esports tournament, flying custom-built drones through neon-lit shapes on winding tracks at speeds of over 90 miles an hour. A total of 18 pilots compete across the season, but only 10 make it through to the World Championship, where a winner is crowned. The brevity of the race makes the Drone Racing League ideal for attention-starved social media users, and the real-time tweets from fans and sponsors should also help create word of mouth for the drone. Just to give you an idea of kind of what this looks like, one of China's live streaming services has about 374 million viewers. That's right, and that's a deal that the Drone Racing League was able to hammer out. It's a developing sport. I'm not saying that this is its final form. I'm just saying that this is something that you definitely want to keep an eye on, because it could be exciting. You just don't even know about it yet. So like I said, a little bit more fun. Only time here for a couple more stories. Let's just knock some of these out real quick. One about PayPal I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. If you use PayPal, and I'm sure that a lot of people out there do, PayPal opens instant bank transfers in the United States. That's right. PayPal made it possible for businesses to get paid instantly, but what if you're an individual who wants to get funds in a hurry? And here we go. Today, the payment has launched an instant transfer option in the US that shuttles money directly to your bank account, not just your debit card. It'll carry a 1% transaction fee and isn't worth it in most cases, but it could be vital if you need to pay a bill or you would rather wait a couple of seconds as opposed to a couple of hours or days. So 1% tacked on fee on top of that for the instant bank transfer, but hey, not bad. PayPal's Bill Ready told TechCrunch that instant transfers for bank accounts is coming to the U.S. through JP Morgan Chase. Chase's access to the clearinghouse, a platform major banks use for faster payment networks. The addition expands the potential audience to people who don't have debit cards. Ready also noted that it would be useful for the gig economy workers, freelancers, and others who receive irregular pay and may need flexibility in how they receive the funds. And in that case, hey, you may want to get it as fast as possible. So there you have it. Want to bring that to everyone's attention. And then on top of that, let's see. So some of the other announcements that we could have include none other than Microsoft. And if you use Microsoft, well, hey, story number 8. Microsoft's phone screen mirroring beta hits Windows 10 this week. If you use Windows 10, if you have a smartphone, here we go, something for you. Insiders will be able to mirror their phone screens on their PCs thanks to the Your Phone update. This is really cool because phones and computers have been very, I don't want to say incompatible, but it's always been like two separate devices. And in a lot of cases, because Android and iOS are not really desktop operating systems. There's of course Mac OS and iOS that work pretty well together. There's of course the Chromebooks and things like that work on like an iteration of like the Chrome browser and Google with Android. But no, they've never really worked in the same environment. You needed something like BlueStacks to run phone apps, but hey, this could be something very, very neat. Here we go. When Microsoft launched the Your Phone app last year, it gave users instant access to their mobile photos and text messages on Windows 10 PCs. I have to check that out. The Your Phone, Y-O-U-R phone app. That could be very useful. And at its Surface launch last fall, it teased something even better, saying that you can mirror and access your entire phone via your PC. With this week's Your Phone update, Windows insiders will finally get to test the phone screen mirroring feature. So rather than reach for your phone to respond to a snap, you'll be able to respond directly from your desktop. I like this. This is sorely needed. So definitely good job. There are a few stipulations. You'll need a Windows 10 PC running build 1803 or later. So just keep your Windows 10 PC updated. I don't think you really get a choice anymore. And an Android phone running Android 7 or newer. Microsoft specifically says that to make sure that you've updated to the latest Insider build, and your PC will need to support Bluetooth's low energy peripheral mode. So if you have a laptop, you should be good to go. Right now, if you have a Samsung Galaxy S8, 8 Plus, 9, 9 Plus, and a PC that meets the specs, the phone screen feature should work. So this is only for select screens, for select phones, just whatever works best at this point. And Microsoft will be working on compatibility going forward. And I think we're going to leave that there. But Chrome OS has supported Android apps for a few years now, and Apple is making it easier for developers to bring their iOS apps to the Mac. So a lot of interplay, and you love to see it. It's a really good thing. I'm glad it's happening. Time for just one more story, and I think with that, we are going to talk about... Okay, we're going to try as best we can to get through... No, we don't have time for that. Uber. Uber has agreed to pay drivers $20 million to settle independent contractor lawsuit. You may remember this. This has been in the courts for, I think, about 6 years now. And it's only gotten worse because Uber, for them to do what they do and to not actually have to guarantee their employees make a minimum livable wage, they employ independent contractors. It's your car, it's your time, it's your insurance, it's your everything else. And Uber reaps the benefits by employing you as an independent contractor, even though they treat you like an employee. Now, today, Uber has agreed to pay $20 million to settle the class action lawsuit brought forth by Douglas O'Connor and Thomas Calliope, way back in 2013, saying that this comes after a judge rejected Uber's offer to settle for $100 million back in 2016. A judge would not let them settle for $100 million in 2016, so they wait a couple of years. Next thing you know, they agree to pay $20 million, 1/5 of what they were rejected. The victory for drivers was short-lived when the appeals court ruled Uber's arbitration agreements were valid and enforceable. That decision reduced the number of drivers in the class to about 13,600. In addition to the $20 million settlement, Uber has agreed to implement a comprehensive written deactivation policy, a formal appeals process for certain deactivation decisions, and quality courses for drivers. And they have they have the whole court filing here if you'd like to read it. But whether or not Uber actually employs people or if they use independent contractors, we'll see that argument come up again and again and again. But their first legal battle has been decided, and $20 million later, I think that that really does add up to a slap on the wrist. Everyone, the music means that we're just about done here on the program. I want to thank you so much for joining us here on the show. Been a lot of fun, and of course, thank you for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, once again, computeramerica.com, that will have a video archive, audio archive, podcast, anything that you need to know about today's show in the show notes, everything available right there. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, where on the show we should be having, and let me get this straight from the calendar, none other than Sandy Berger. So everyone, stay tuned for more Computer America, and thank you so much for tuning in. Catch you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye, everyone.
No